Yo, what's happening? Spotlight on Spurs just after the Chelsea game. Not really a lot. Not really a lot. 1 second. Not really a lot I can say about this one. Oh, Jesus Christ. Let's get the guests in ASAP. So, first up, Christopher Hubble. Welcome back, brother. How are we doing after that performance?
Just, I don't know. Part of me expected it. I didn't have much hope, but you still got to watch it. And then you start watching it and then you realise it. And then, it's just one of them things. I think I just want the season over with now. Start again next year.
Here he is.
Hello. Sorry I'm late, guys. I was just trying to redirect. I was trying to redirect to you, man. My fault.
I appreciate that, mate. I had this stream in the background and I heard myself twice. So I was like just trying to figure out where I was and what was going on for a second. Absolute mad. How we doing?
Depression. That's how I'm doing. Just depression.
You weren't happy with that one, no?
There was nothing to be happy about. I'll be so real, man. It was so sad watching that game, man. I'll be so sad.
Well, obviously, was hoping that we would be starting this off with a nice little win, having a nice little chat about some good performances. But we have to start with the elephant in the room, I guess. Was there anyone that performed well?
No.
Is there any player that walks out of that with any sort of credit?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I'm struggling. I think Bergvall was all right at best.
I don't know why he took him off. That's what I was so surprised about. Why he took off Bergvall, not Bentancur. But I don't know what this manager does anymore. I've given up trying to think like him or trying to predict.
I think the idea was Bentancur was the deeper one, wasn't he? So he didn't want to put Bergvall there for whatever reason. I think this game is it's tough on the minds. There was like 9 yellow cards. I'm surprised Bergvall didn't get booked before he got hooked. Yeah. That's the only thing I can think of. But did you see what he done afterwards?
Nah, I didn't even. I was zoning in and out of the game. I'll be so.
So they got booed. So he got booed for bringing off Bergvall. And then when Sarr scored, he turned around and cupped his ears to the crowd.
Oh, yeah, the stream was telling me. I didn't know that was the reason, though.
Yeah,
one of my boys was telling me.
I don't know if it's the reason. It's just Twitter stuff. But if he's done that again, it's sober, isn't it?
That's to get chalked off and we lose the game.
That's a defeated attitude. If you're still doing this, like after a game, if a fan's shouting a bit of abuse at you and this, that, and the other, and it's an isolated incident, then that's one thing. It's poor, but it's one thing. And then this one, oh Jesus, that is. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Shout out Mello.
Hey, big up Mello, man. That's my guy, man. And a few of my guys in the street, man. I can't I know Andrew's provoked in it, but it's for some reason when it comes to this season, like our players and now our manager is so focused on like basically giving it back to the fans in it. And I understand because they're provoked, but at the same time, like if they were performing better and we were winning games, we wouldn't have this criticism. Like
exactly.
Like we're not asking them to win the league. We're not even asking them to necessarily get a Champions League spot or a Europa League spot. We just want to see like improvements. Like we're not asking for a cup because like obviously we won a cup, but we haven't got a cup in 17 years. So like to ask Ange in the second season that you have to win a trophy or it's bust is a bit unrealistic considering the time we've had. We just want to see some improvements, some signings brought in that makes the team play better, and it's just gone down to the ground.
Yeah, I think he's also put a bit of a target on his back because I think at the start of the season he also said, I don't maybe win stuff, I do win stuff in my second season, and he sort of highlighted that as his sort of selling point for me. And then that's what you're going to get judged on now. If you don't win something in your second season, you've called it out at the start that you definitely do.
I get why people call that out, but that is football. Like we want characters in football, and he makes that statement. Like as a Spurs manager, if he delivers a trophy in the second season after saying that, everyone talks about him like, gee, like he's turned around and said he's going to win one and then wins one. It's just, but people make these statements. That's what people do in football. Look at Skelly going to the Etihad. Do you know what I mean? Like, goes and does that, and then there's a big ruckus about should he have done it, shouldn't he have done it. It's all about football. So, but for me, I just the arguing with the fans all of the time, it just doesn't make any sense. But I think we were saying this just before we started, that the facts is that when you've lost so many games, then there's nothing that he can do that was right. So like we're saying with the star sub, he wants to, if he don't make a sub, then people will say that he ain't made a sub and they'll say that he don't react. If he brings off Bergvall, then people moan that Bergvall should have probably stayed on, but you could have subbed anyone off and none of them were any good. If he took off Maddison instead, everyone would have said, why has he taken off Maddison? So because he's lost so many games, you don't have any credit in the bank. No matter what decision's made, it's the wrong one, unless it works. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, obviously, unless if he makes a sub and Salah comes on at the end of the game, he looks like a genius. But no one's going to say, oh, well, like, we'll see it. We'll see how the decision plays out. It's almost like immediately, boo, you've made the wrong decision.
I hear what you're saying, but I mean, even so, like, I feel like everyone would have said Bentancur should have come off. I mean, especially, it's because Bergvall and Maddison at least have some form of X factor. If you want to argue what level of X factor they do have, whether it's a good one or a bad one, at least they have some form of X factor. Like we can see Bergvall at least was trying to drive with the ball, and Maddison, like, he can just pop up and do something. Whether he does it enough is a different question, but he can do it. Bentancur just don't really do much, and especially when I got straight home from work and I just hopped on the stream. I'll be so real. I'm probably going to be in this suit till like midnight, but it is what it is.
I thought this was because it was your debut. You've dressed up and I thought that's what it's like.
I can't because I haven't changed out of the suit because it's my debut. So I've stayed in the suit for the debut. You know what I'm saying? I've got to look at least a little bit like I know what I'm talking about. It's one of them ones.
I appreciate it.
But yeah, now when it comes to Sarr, like, he complements Bergvall and Maddison a lot more than Bentancur does, which is why I would have rather Sarr started anyway. But taking off Bergvall when even Maddison was horrible in the game. Like, Bergvall was literally the only midfielder who was trying to do something and was actually like making the runs and trying to, like, he's signaling for the ball to come into a certain area, and every time we're passing it backwards, it's like you can't really do much at that point. Like, he's trying and nothing's working. And so I don't really blame Bergvall much. I would have much rather Bentancur came off instead of him, because like he was literally the fight of the team. Like, no one else was really doing much anyway.
No, that's what I mean. He was all right. I think Van der Ven and Romero looked all right in paces, but then others, they looked like they weren't sure what was going on. I feel like Spence didn't deliver. I still feel that Spence is the left back, man. When he plays on the right, I just feel like he just struggles that bit more. I don't know what it is. I don't know whether I can't work out why, but he just seems so much more comfortable on the left.
Yeah. I think he's just played more on the left this season, right?
He's played much. Because
Porro's been here for pretty much the entire season, so I think he's just more used to probably playing on the left in this kind of system.
I don't know if it's because you invert, because you come inside on the stronger foot as well. I don't know what it is, but just on the right side, it just feels like because he was up against Sancho, so it's not like you think Sancho's going to run him or anything like that. But Sancho just seemed to have him. I wouldn't sound toast, but he just seemed to struggle against him, which I felt like every time Spencer's come up against someone, I'm like, yeah, Spencer will be all right, sort of thing. Whereas Sancho is causing him a little bit of problems. But as we were saying, like, even Vicario pulled off a couple of good saves, but boy, was he shaky.
The first 15, 20 minutes, I mean, he done some questionable things, and that save at the end of the first half, it doesn't make up for what he's done. It's just like, oh wow, like, it is there. Just don't do the bad stuff more often, because it highlights that he has got them flaws in him. But he is a very good goalkeeper. I still think he just needs to maybe just focus a bit more.
Yeah, but the whole team seems to just lose that focus. Like, it's constantly happening. The amount of time, even today again, like the amount of like little 5-6 yard passes, and they kick it out or they kick it out, and you're like, this is basic stuff. This isn't like the most difficult stuff in the world that we're talking about. And obviously, you can go down the tactics route and all of that, and I get that. Like, but we're talking about basic stuff, and they just seem to shut off. Romero's done it about 4 times in the first 2 minutes the other game. It's just like, even the experienced players, it just baffles me. And the thing is, like, When you're at a City, you might be able to shut off because everyone around you is so good. Do you know what I mean? But when you're playing for Tottenham, you need to focus 100% all the time because anything can happen. That, especially under this manager, it's just nuts, absolutely mad. I ain't felt like this since Alan Sugar was the owner. There's a couple of stats that are coming out now saying about how bad it has been. We're breaking all sorts of records now. What we
hit 20 losses now, isn't it? For the whole season, we're at 20 losses now.
Yep, 20 losses.
Jeez,
I think it's something like someone just sent me a message saying that it's something like the worst points per game ratio we've ever had.
Man.
So we're breaking all sorts of records. But as I was saying before we started the stream, like I'm not saying that Anne should go because of the results or anything like that. But if you're fighting with your fans every time, then that's it. I don't see where you come back from this with the fans.
I hear what you're saying. Is it more of like an away fans thing? Because I don't know in the home ground if he faces the same kind of thing in it. So is it more of a like? Because I remember the last time where he was, I think that was when before Jed Spence started playing when he was leading away Ange from the away fans saying something that was away as well. So I don't know if and the tell clip of when he was I don't know if that was Fulham or something, but that was away as well. So that's an away game as well. So I feel like the away fans are starting to turn a lot more. But in terms of the home fans, I don't know if he's facing the same kind of scrutiny and stuff in the stadium.
The away fans are the ones, the core ones. They go every week. If you're getting a ticket away, then do you know what I mean? Whereas with the home fans, you've probably got X amount of kids that turn up, like families and that. You've probably got people that are coming over from different parts of the world that have got tickets. That it's not like a proper fierce. I think the away fans is a barometer of where people stand normally. And
I think he had a bit of grief as well, isn't he? Like going down the tunnel at the Tottenham Stadium at home games. I think fans are sort of giving him some grief, and he has reacted to a few of them. And he had to be dragged away by his staff, and he needs to just carry on walking and just deal with that, as you say, separately, and just take it away.
I think, don't get me wrong, I think every incident has been mad. Yeah, I just find it crazy that he's doing it. But for me, it's always felt like it's an odd person. Like when Tell pulled him away, he was arguing with. There's a lot of rumours to think that it was actually a Fulham fan because it was in the Fulham end of where the fans are. But regardless, it's one fan or a couple of fans. Even when Spence pulled him away, there was a few people that were shouting at him, but it seemed to be like a minority. Whereas with this, he's almost like every fan that's booed, he's giving it to every single. That is the one thing where I'm sitting there thinking I don't see a way back now. Like, forget about people say about you can get Europa League and this, that, and the other, but how do you come back from doing that to your own fans? That's the bottom line. Like, your fans, they're the ones that you need on side. They were the ones that kind of kept him in the job at first period, and I don't understand what he thinks he's gaining out of this. It looks to me like the pressure's getting to him.
I would think so, probably. Yeah, it's something I was saying on stream before I joined up. Is like, I understand that there are some, I don't even want to call them fans. There are some people who will take it too far and say the most like outlandish things towards players and managers and stuff. And that stuff shouldn't be tolerated, which is why I don't call them fans, because that's a disservice to actual fans of the club. But what I'd always say is that there are obviously some people, and when I say some as in like less than 1%, who will always say like crazy things about managers and players regardless of the result. But most people who would say stuff like that, it's out of pure frustration in terms of results. So even though what they're saying is crazy and it shouldn't be tolerated, it is coming from somewhere, which is the fact that we've been so bad. Like the results, this is now 20 losses. You know, it's built out of pent up frustration, and it doesn't help. Like, of course, I don't want to feel like I'm blaming the players because it's a reaction to what the fans are doing. But like Brendan Johnson and Son shushing the fans when they score, it's like, again, they're so focused at trying to shush us as fans and trying to prove to us that, you know, we're this and you need to respect us. And it's like, yo, we already respect you. It's just we don't think you're playing that well. We don't think you're that good right now. Like, we already respect you. We already want you to win. That's why we're here. That's why we're watching the games. That's why the people in the stadium have paid money to come see you play, because they want to see you play. That's why.
100%. And that's why when people kept saying about like the end of the season and let's just blow the league out, don't worry about it. I'm like, no, there's people that are paying their money to go week in, week out. You can't just decide we're not, like, that's just madness. But I don't understand how you can keep doing this to your own fans. Like, it's one thing doing it to away fans or to, as I say, having a little brat here and there. But you're right. People just feel like they can say whatever they like. But it goes, sometimes you just need to rise above it. Like, it's just...
Yeah.
Embarrassing. This is it. Look, I swear, like, things only like this happen at Spurs. We're the only team in the world where the manager can turn around companies' ears and then the goal gets disallowed. They're the only team that can do that.
You look at our performances though, like today, and you sort of think, are they actually playing for him anymore? Are they just? Do they even want to be on the pitch? Do they want to be playing? Because the body language and everything, they just don't. They don't seem to be enjoying it. And I know, obviously, when you're in a bad run of form, it's hard to enjoy your football. But it just takes one game where you get a good win, and that should then give you that little boost for the next game. I just can't see us. I can't see us winning a game. I mean, we've got 8 left, and everyone keeps talking about Europa League. I can't see us beating a team like Frankfurt the way we're playing now. It just doesn't seem to be possible.
Yeah, I mean, when you're that bad, you just can't see where a win's coming from. It's Southampton next, isn't it? And then it's the big one.
Then it's Frankfurt at home as well.
Like, I don't.
You see Van der Ven limping, long day, man.
Yeah, I did see that. And then obviously there's a couple of comments in the chat, and there's a couple in my WhatsApp group as well saying that Ange has a meltdown in his interview.
I've got it on the TV watching it, and I've got it muted, the telly, but his face, he just looks miserable. Like, you can just see that he's just like, I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't come out, and I wouldn't be surprised if he does just think, you know what, sod it, I can't be bothered no more. I don't want this. Like, it's probably too much hassle, because he must have got called out about doing the cup into the fans as well in that interview. I'd like to watch it after this and see how he reacts.
I don't know whether many people saw it, because where that all come from was 2 or 3 journalists got the tweets out ASAP. So I don't know whether, like, the cameras didn't see it. I don't even know whether Sky would have seen it or anything like that. The only thing, I haven't seen any videos. You know, like, people have always got videos. I was trying to search on Twitter to try and see, because there has been a lot of stuff that's been taken well out of context. So I was thinking, did he actually do that? But the amount of people that have been tweeting, then it just absolutely must have happened. And just had a car crash interview and walked off.
Yeah, the end of the line is near, man.
I don't think he's got. I think there needs to be a meeting had, and it's a case of, do you want to go out now? Do you want to go? I think even if we win the Europa League, I don't see how we can still give him another year now after what's happened this whole season. It's not been. I mean, the whole season's not been enjoyable, and I think we've burgled our way into a Europa League quarter-final. I don't think there's any coming back from this now. And again, you look at him in that interview, his face just says, I didn't even need to listen to any of it. His face is literally just deflated. He looks miserable. I think it's probably...
He looked better. I think in that Opta Sport interview, he started looking a little bit like... It looked like a couple of week break made him and 1 game back with Spurs, and that's it.
And he realised what he came back to and was like, yeah, never mind.
I agree. I've been saying that I feel like if we win Europa, he has to stay, that sort of stuff. Like, you can't go and sack that manager, but maybe he don't want to be there now. Maybe he's just a bit too much on him, because I don't understand how you can be like, it's different if he was a relatively new manager and he started doing stuff like that. But I know he hasn't had the best experience all in Europe and whatever, but the fact that he's been managing for 25, 30 years, whatever, and he hasn't got the experience to just be like, yeah, I'll leave that. I'm not gonna like.
It's the pressure, though.
It's a new type of pressure he's not used to.
Is he now at a stage where he's thinking, nah, I'm all right for this. I don't even want it next year, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just pressure. That's why, because even at Celtic, like, I mean, the only real like high pressure game would probably be against Rangers, if I'm being honest. Like every other game, they'll pretty much just walk over everyone for the most part. It's really just Rangers. And then in Australia and Japan, they're just playing for the love of the game. Like they're not really playing for anything serious. So
I looked into his history. He has had some big games. Like he won the cup with Australia. That it's never been done before, and it hasn't been done since. So he has been involved in big games. But when you're talking about the Premier League, it's similar to playing. It's the intensity of it. It's a big game every few days. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like he can. You're right. In the Scottish leagues and in the other leagues, he's probably got to get up for 5 or 6 games a season. Say that. But this one is like every single game is.
Yeah,
just
I feel like there was probably
massive
more
game.
pressure. That second leg AZ Alkmaar, that's probably the most pressure he's probably been under as a manager. Probably, I'd be so, and that's just a Europa League round of 16 tie.
Yeah,
I don't think any of the other games will probably measure up just because of the amount of scrutiny he would have faced up at that point, especially considering like we've been knocked out of the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup, and the Europa League was all that was left, and we were already 1-0 down. That's probably the most high pressure game he's probably been in up to this point in his career. And if that's a round of 16 tie, so depending on how the home fixture goes against Frankfurt, we could go to the away fixture. It'd be even more pressure at that point because of how everything's gone since then. So
that away game's going to be a pressure.
That's why we got to win by like 2 or 3 goals at home to have a chance away, because we're going to lose away 100%. The question is, can we win enough by enough goals at home in order to kind of pad it enough? Pretty much. That's really
100%.
the question.
100%. John,
they need to
Ryan,
perform against Southampton then.
100%. John, Ryan got a call up today, and he hasn't shown. So I'm sure he would have wanted to. Now Ange is struggling and we lost. I'm sure he would have wanted to show up, but I had to just delay it a little bit before we go to the next comment. I'm not sure whether this has been viewed or not, but
big up Mike's, bro, my guy. Big up Mike's, man.
Ange's funeral, he's got all dressed up and he's.
Trust me. When it's Ange's funeral, my hair will be done as well. Like, I've let my hair just grow. My hair will be done for Ange's funeral as well. When you see the suit and the hair done, you'll know, man. You'll know. Trust me.
Romano's just tweeted. So it says, Ange Postecoglou is killing the game, mate. It's not the same game as it used to be. The ref gave it 6 minutes later to rule it out. It's crazy. It's madness. I mean, I personally, and people might say that I'm mad, I do think it was a little bit harsh. I know it was a foul, but if that's given in the middle of the pitch and no one scores, there's no uproar about it. There's no nothing. But
yeah,
I think it's a foul. Like,
that's what I'm saying. I think it's a foul, but I think that to wait 6 minutes, and that's the funny thing is that they took 6 minutes to make the decision and then book SAR. It can't be that bad of a foul if it took you 6 minutes to work out it was a foul.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying. That's a foul, yellow card. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
I was saying, has Sanchez pulled off his first ever save in a Chelsea shirt against Son? We all go out there.
Yeah, like we cashed in his bozo moment. That was the biggest issue. We cashed in our only goal plus the bozo moment just for it to get ruled off. As soon as that happened, I was like, yeah, we're not scoring because he's had his bozo moment of the game. Like that save was the bozo moment, and it went for nothing. So at that point, I was like, yeah, it's game over.
If Sanchez is making saves against you and it's a decent save, then you might as well just give up there, and then you might as well just give up there. Yeah, so as I say, I don't feel like anyone's really come out of it with any credit. I think Bergvall was okay. There was a couple of 5 out of 10, but then the rest were just struggling. And the worst thing is to go to Southampton on the weekend. And then obviously after that, you then got the biggest game. I don't see, if you're playing like that, I've been saying that for probably a week or so, that it's not just about getting wins, it's about the performances as well.
Yeah.
And today was just so flat. You should be coming out of the traps flying.
And Van de Ven now injured. We have no Kulu for Frankfurt either. So we're without probably our best defender, and then apart from Spence, I guess, and then our best player in general. We're without both of them for the biggest game of the season. It's not looking good, man.
I can't believe you're spreading these vicious lies about Van de Ven saying he's injured.
I hope he's not, bro. I hope he's not. But I need to. The way
didn't
he
look
was
like
limping, the way he was
Yeah.
limping and holding his calf, it wasn't even his hamstring, it was his calf. That's why I'm so worried. If it was his hamstring, I would have been like, all right, cool. I guess he's just a stretch out or something. It's his calf. It's a new part of his leg. It's a issue. I'll be so real. It's an issue.
We can never have anything good. We can never have anything good. But on a more serious note, even if Ange does go, if Van der Ven's pulling up again,
We
what
probably
is
have to
this
sell
for?
him. I'll be so real.
What is this? Like, it's just crazy
We're
how
gonna have to
often
sell
that
him,
guy gets injured.
unfortunately. Like he's a good player, but like this amount of injuries, like if we can get money for him, we might have to sell him. To be real, I
And then
don't.
you've got Romero going as well. I think Romero's
Yeah,
done. I think
yeah.
as soon as Romero started digging out a bit of the ownership, bit of the medical team.
Yeah, like remember early in the season as well, he was speaking out against the ownership, and everyone's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
Romero, that's my centre back." I'm like, he's gonna be your centre back for this season, but he's gone after this because we know whenever someone speaks out against the ownership, you're gone, fam. Like, we've seen it with the managers. Kulusevski's he came out and spoke up against the ownership. He definitely wants to leave the club. I can see it now. If Kulu and Romero and Son all go, it's because they spoke up against Levy, and that's why. That's why, because anyone who speaks up against Levy, they end up leaving. So
100%.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Like, the thing is that if we don't have Europe next year, then I think we can half get away without Romero. Just purely because I think Danso's decent. I think everyone's probably expecting now that Ange is done. Ange is not going to be here next year. So you've got Danso, you've got, well, we're selling both our centre backs at the moment. We've just sold them both. So there's going to need to be another load of investment put in, and players coming in if that's the case. But you can probably get away with having less centre backs if you're not in Europe. Like, we're going to go back to that one game a week.
Yeah.
The Dole of last year, where it was just like, what can you possibly talk about? Like, well, you make sure that you've got a game every 7 days and that's it. But it's there's just I think there's so many players that are playing for their futures as well, to be honest with you, because there's like, people talk about the tactics and they say Basuma, Bentancur, this, that, and the other, but Basuma's been off it since Conte signed him. Basically, Conte said he's not tactically good enough to play in my position, in my formation and my team. And just playing him, and he's not playing very well. So how many more chances the players get? And I think that's one of the problems Spurs have. We give players too many chances. They end up staying through manager and managers. And then at the end we go, we probably need to get rid of them now. And it's like, yeah, you should have got rid of them 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, no, 100%. And you see it with clubs like Arsenal and Man United. That's 2 prime examples where they have players that had stayed from manager to manager, and they haven't been good enough under any of the managers. And now, hey, if I could regrow my dreads, I can't lie, I look too fly for YouTube, I'll be real. But no, we've had players who just survived manager after manager, and recently they've started filtering out, and now I think it's just Son and Ben Davies left. But yeah, honestly, like I feel like fans get too, like, what's the word? They get too engrossed in who's there. You know, like, we gotta remember they're not here for charity work. They're paid to be here. Like, they're paid to play. They're paid to manage. Whether it's the medical team, they're paid to do what they do, and the cleaners are paid to clean. Like, these men can be replaced. Like, if they're not good enough, they can be replaced. It's that simple. Like, treat it like a normal job. Forget that they get paid like way more money than the average job. Like, it's still a job at the end of the day. Like, they still had to qualify for the position. And if they don't perform, then they need to go. It's that simple. It doesn't matter if you like the player, if you like the manager, if you think this player is good, this player is not good. If they're not performing up to standard, then they have to be replaced. That's the way you got to look at it, because we love the club. Like, I started supporting because of a player, but the player's not there, and I still support the club. You know, like, we end up loving the club not because a player is there. It might be the reason you start supporting, but we're still here. We're all still here. I'm sure we've all supported Tottenham for ages. Like, it's the club we love, so we gotta keep it up to the standard.
And the thing is, like, that not many players stay for long. Like, you can't. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's been the big problem for us. Like, I was saying the other day that The problem with us is that we keep that Romero, for instance. Some people think he's not good enough, or some people don't think that he's top level. That's absolutely fine. But you can guarantee the player we bring in to replace him is not going to be at his level.
Yeah.
That's the big problem. Like
would it be a 20 or 21-year-old just like another youngster
Probably.
that they want to bring in to play a couple of seasons and then sell on for profit?
And that player might grow into a better player. But the facts is that if you keep having a team and you keep downgrading that by selling one and bringing someone in who's not quite at that level, then how do you expect to get any? You're obviously going to get worse. Like I've always said, that as a
constant rebuilded.
If you look at the top clubs, they will bring a player in, they will have someone ready to then come in and take their place. Whereas for us, like we sold Kane, and as fans, we probably hoped he wouldn't go and probably thought, well, maybe he won't. But the club must have known he was going.
Yeah.
And they signed his replacement 12 months later. Like, what?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense to me. Why would you do that? We have Romero, we have Van der Ven. They get ruled out in November, start of November, and they're going to be out for 4 months. We're coming up to January. You've known for 2 months now you need to bring a centre back in. We bring one in February. It's like, what? I don't understand where you're coming at. Like, where do you think this is going to work? It's never, ever going to work. And it's almost like everything's just accumulated this season, where we've had so many games. We've had some decent cup run in terms of getting to the semis, played all of these games in Europa, played in the Premier League, and everything's just coming on top at once. Like the medical department has been revamped. That still don't work. You've had 3 players come out and slag off the medical department it wasn't even 1 year. It was in like 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
The whole club needs just a factory reset. It's mad. Spurs have always been a nuts club, but this is even nuts by our level.
The problem is that the time for us to like ascend into like big club conversations was when we had like that Poch team, like that prime Poch team. Because then you'd be able to that was when the club was most attractive to sign big players.
Yeah.
But the problem is that even like maybe I guess if you want to count the 90s, sure, but like ever since I've watched Tottenham, like Tottenham has never really been a club to sign a big player. Like if you want to talk about like Ginola and then back in the days, like that's the 90s. Like I can't that's 30 something years ago at that point. Like we got to be more realistic. In the 21st century, at least, we haven't signed a top quality, like he's one of the best in the world at his position kind of player. We've always been wanting to develop it. And whether they stay or whether they go, we've developed it and then built the team. And that's pretty much what it was like, for Bale, for Harry Kane, for Son, sorry. Like we'll either buy them when they're not what they are and then they'll turn into what they are, or we'll develop them from the academy. And we had the opportunity with like a great team to attract the top caliber player and then start that kind of cycle to where like now the top clubs will have the great players and then they'll either use the academy or they'll just bring in the top young players and they'll keep recycling. That was the time for us to do that. But instead, we didn't do that. We just relied on Harry Kane and Son pretty much, and then just recycled and used worse players that funded the stadium and etc. etc. So now we're pretty much back at square one again. So this is why I've always been someone to harp on, like trying to develop the young players in a way, which is again a double-edged sword because this will happen. Like we'll end up losing games and stuff like that. But we're not in a position where we can buy top quality players. Like that was 10 years ago. Like we're not there anymore. And now we're pretty much going to be out of Europe. If we don't win the Europa League, we'll be out of Europe. 1 game a week, basically 16th or 15th, wherever we finish. We're going to have to go back to scouting and recruiting young players and building them up through a system, in which case you'll have to try and build them up that way. And that's really the only way we have. We only have that way now.
You're still setting them up to fail by not bringing in players that they should be learning from.
Yeah.
Like you can't just have a whole squad full of young players. It doesn't make any sense. Like you say, like people at the moment, the big thing is Mikey Moore. Oh, Mikey Moore should be playing. Mikey Moore should be playing. I don't think physically Mikey Moore is ready to play men's football week in, week out. I don't think he is. I think he could come off the bench and have some minutes in the Europa League, possibly. That's where he's played his best thing. No one's really sure what this injury illness is, neither, because he's not I know he hasn't played much, but I haven't seen him actually come back and have some solid games since this. So I don't know whether this is something that's a bit longer term. But you can't go to this 17-year-old and bring him into the current setup that we have and then expect him to perform under them circumstances. When young players come in, they normally are performing to a decent level when there's consistency around them. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's how you get the best out of young players. You make them, you give them a platform for them to go and play on. Otherwise,
I hear what you're saying, but that's not really what I meant was like in terms of like playing the young players, I mean like not just like throwing out a team of like 18-year-olds, because like even like during Poch when he was developing younger players, he didn't throw out like a team of 20-year-olds on the pitch. Like we had a basic core and spine. Like Lloris was like mid to late 20s, Vertonghen, Alderweireld, Moussa Dembele. So we literally had like a core spine of players in their late to 20s to early 30s. So it's not like we had like a team of 20-year-olds and they were just badding up the league. Like it wasn't like that. And even like in terms of Poch's game plan, in terms of players on the bench, in terms of like just players around the system, like we had older players that were there as almost like a mentor, as like a guide pretty much. And when I say like developing the young talent by them playing more, obviously having like a team of 11 like 20-year-olds is pretty much counterproductive because they have no one to learn from. But in terms of just having the experience around them, like we're looking at the experienced players in this team right now and asking, are they going to be guys that can teach the young guys anything?
That's exactly what when you was just naming them players, like your Lloris's, Jan Vertonghen, Toby's, Dembele's, I was thinking all four of them would walk into this like as a just forget about players, talking about mentality wise. I would want to look up to them. Madison seems to be getting quite a lot of positive praise from players, so you can maybe add that into it. But them 4 players there, they're leaders. They're people that you would want to learn off. But if you look at our leaders, I don't feel like they're the right people for young players to come in.
Yeah, they're not coaches. They're not like teachers and stuff. Like maybe you could say Son, maybe, but even that's me being a bit graceful in terms of what Son is like because I'm not there in the locker rooms and the behind the scenes stuff. But yeah, literally in terms of like the experience back then versus the experience now, like we're looking at the experience now. Most of the actual experienced international players want to leave. Romero wants to leave. I'm pretty sure Cooley would probably want to leave. I'm not sure how the ways people view Maddison, even though Spencer's come out and said he's a leader. I'm not sure. But even so, like the list is already waning at Maddison. So to instantly write off 4 players who were leaders, and then you got to look at the fact that Harry Kane started ascending as a leader anyway. And, you know, other players like that started ascending as leaders, like Kyle Walker's, and your Danny Rose is obviously Walker before he left. And, you know, players like that started ascending as leaders in this squad. And players would take it amongst themselves. Like, you had players like Lucas Moura who would take it upon himself. Dele Alli was coming through the ranks. Like, yeah, the players are just on a different kind of mentality back then. And I feel like the experience and the stuff we have to offer players like Archie and Bergvall and Mikey Moore and Odebear and players like that, and Sarr, who's like, 22 at this point now. So he's starting to get out of that young phase. But even players who are like 22 and under, like it's hard for them to like look up to the experience and see the experience all want to leave the club.
Like they're not even playing well neither. So
literally.
For me, this season has been the opportunity to give the youngsters some serious game time because of the injuries that we've had. There's been spaces in the team to play them, and I'm pretty sure when Ange first signed his contract and one of his first interviews with Tottenham that he said whether you're 35 years old or 19 years old, you can both make the same mistakes. I'm not scared to play the youngsters. It might have even been when he was with Celtic, to be fair. So when we was getting them, I thought, here we go. We're gonna actually give the youngsters some games. I think someone's mentioned in your comments about you can't give them 5 minutes at the end. That does nothing. Yeah, they get their debut and they get to come on in the Tottenham Stadium maybe and have that sort of first experience. But there's been plenty of times this season where you're looking at the injuries list growing and growing and growing, and you think, well, our under-21s last year, I know it's obviously a different level, but they won the league last year, under-21s. So there's got to be, I mean, they play international at a good standard as well for their country. So surely when you've got all these injuries, rather than trying to put Archie Gray at right back, centre back, left back, centre mid, you should be bringing in these youngsters and saying, here's your chance to shine, show me what you can do, and prove that you can do it.
I think that's part of the problem, is that our summer transfer window was bringing in youngsters. So like everyone says this, that we should be playing more youngsters. But when you're already got Archie Gray, you've already got Bergvall. Spence is not young, but he is in terms of Premier League. You've got Tell. Yeah. Moore's played loads of, like, Moore's actually had quite a few minutes for this season, considering we're not talking about a 17-year-old who's just turning 18. Like, he's just turned 17. So how many more youngsters could come in and actually play?
Yeah.
So I know what you're saying, but also the under-21s were flying last year, but they got rid of loads of their players. So Lancashire's obviously gone out on loan. Donnelly's gone out on loan. We got rid of Santiago. He went. I think he was sold. So a lot of the good players that were good last year, George Abbott went out on loan. So we started to, because that's what everyone was saying. I was on a stream recently where people were saying, like, we need to start getting youngsters. They need to start playing more. And I'm like, they can either play in the first team with Tottenham, or we can loan them, but do the right loans where players go off and play. Because all we seem to do is loan players out, and then they just sit on the bench and they don't play. Like Scarlett has gone on 4 loans, and he's probably played about 20 odd games off the bench in all 4 loans. And it's like
it's not good for
even
anyone,
the Lancashire
is it?
one, like the Lancashire one. I was on a stream recently where people were saying Lancashire should be playing. He's gone to West Brom and he's not playing because they signed him on loan, and then the next day they signed Adam Armstrong. It's like, what? Like, we as a club, we must be able to look at this and think, oh, are you gonna, like, how much is he gonna play?
Wrong as well. Look at Marcus Edwards and that. He's been balling at. He was balling at Sporting and Victoria, and we let him go. And it's like we just get it wrong every time.
Razzle dazzle with how young is too young.
If you're old enough to wear the shirt, you're old enough to play, and that's how I've always thought about it. So if it's a 17-year-old, if he's in the first team and the manager thinks he's good enough, or whoever makes the decision thinks they're good enough, then that's old enough, in my opinion. Obviously, you give them a little bit of time because, like, obviously people age differently, mature differently, so you can give them more time. But in my opinion, if you're old enough to play in the first team, you're old enough to perform, in my opinion.
Yeah, for me, it ain't an age thing. For me, it's a mentality thing, and it's also a physicality thing. If you're physically ready and you're mentally ready, then you can play. Like, as I say, with Mikey Moore, I'm not saying that he shouldn't have played the minutes he has. If I would have brought him on more, I think there's a couple of occasions when Werner's come on, and 100% I would have been bringing more on. But I just think that sometimes we can overplay these youngsters, and if they come on and they don't have a good game, and then that can feed into it. And especially as we were saying, if you've got no leaders on that pitch to really grab hold of them. Maddison looks like he's really taken more under his wing, where he said a couple of months back, we've got Neymar on the wing and things like that. So, but I just don't know. I think it's hard to be able to play young players consistently in a team that's already inconsistent. And that's why I think that the summer, if we was to have brought in more experienced pros, then the young players would have had a better platform. But saying that, they've played quite a lot this year, and it's going to stand them in good stead for next year, you would hope.
Plus, they're also in and around the first team as well. So they're around these players day in, day out. They're around all the first team coaches, and they understand everything. So they've got a good background with it all, and they've got a good understanding. As you say, for me, it's more the mentality of players, the physicality of players, and probably the maturity as well. Do you want to take? Because some players might just want to. They all want to play at that high level, but it's then taking that risk of, if I have a bad game, am I going to get dropped? Am I not going to get picked up? Is it going to ruin my future career? And I think that sometimes is a stumbling block as well for youngsters.
Well, we've had problems with youngsters for years. I mean, Paratici brought in the wage structure. He broke that up because we was losing players like Madueke. He went because we was basically offering players such a low wage that everyone else was offering more. So we was losing our academy players very early on. So that's always been a problem. And then obviously under Conte, he would bring youth players in and make them stand there as if they were mannequins. It was quite well documented. They used to say that he was never interested in having a youth player there whatsoever, just never interested in it. So even when they was called up to training and things, they was literally just tasked with, you need to act like a mannequin and basically stand there, and you don't really get involved. So if we're going down this young route where we're buying all these young players, then you need to bring in experienced players, and you need a manager that's going to continually play them. It's just crazy. And this comment is, and there's so many people that have been saying this recently, and all of the fans wanted rid of Højbjerg because we thought we would bring in an experienced player to replace him. And now it's like we should have kept Højbjerg. We're at that level where Højbjerg should be a starting or involved. It's just, I don't know. What we got? Basuma's lazy and rubs off and affected. So I think Basuma in this balloon situation is definitely one thing that's caused problems. Every time he seems to just have this, just does something strange out of the blue, where you think, where's that come from? Why are you getting involved in that? How old is he now? 28.
I think so. Yeah, 28.
Yeah, about that.
And the thing is, we seem to do it all the time. We sign these players where you think, like when we signed him, I was thinking, he's gonna ball out.
And for the money we signed him for as well, it was a steal basically. It was a great deal to get him in, and then it just never really blossomed into anything.
El Tel Cockerell, how are we doing, my friend? 100%. We don't have any wingers that can beat their man. Odebear weren't on it today. Brennan Johnson actually did beat his man and whipped in a decent cross. So that's the first time in about 15 games. But we don't seem to have, and that was a big difference for me. You had Pedro Neto, you had Sancho. They just seem to be dynamic. They seem to just want to attack their man. Whereas they just seem happy to just pass it back.
Yeah, man. And besides, Solanke's always dropping deep to pick up the ball anyway. So by the time we get to the wing, there's no one in the box, which is one of my biggest issues with Ange's tactics.
That's Ange's tactics is supposed to be wingers getting to the byline and getting balls in the box. Like, it's not supposed to be a striker dropping deep or anything like that. Literally, that is like his whole game is geared around getting to the byline and cutting the ball back. If you look at like loads of goals that Bournemouth scored last year, that's how Solanke got his goals, and that's why he fitted in with the system that he wanted to play. But Nan, I don't know whether it's a breakdown of players not being confident to do it, but none of that seems to be happening.
But I don't know, I don't know why Solanke, he has to be asked to do this though. That's the thing, because every time Solanke plays, he drops deep. Yeah, he drops in between the two midfielders, and there's times that Solanke picked up the ball, and was dribbling. He got past 2 or 3 players, but the problem is that he picked it up behind the halfway line.
Yeah, I remember.
So
that.
he picked it up, and he dribbled. And I was like, oh wait, who is that? I was like, oh wow, he's just skipped past a few players. Who is that? And it's Solanke. I'm like, oh, no wonder, bro. Solanke's up there. So Solanke's down there picking up the ball behind the halfway line when we have midfielders who are supposed to be doing that. So by the time the ball gets up to the wing, we don't have anyone in the box. So Solanke's supposed to drop back behind the halfway line, pick up the ball, dribble past a couple man, then start the creative spark. There you go, and then he has to go in and score the goal as well. It's an impossible job.
I don't understand it. It's just, I actually think he's a better footballer than I thought he was. I thought he was bringing in almost like a pure finisher of someone who will just stick up there. I think sometimes when he picks up the ball and goes on little dribbles, I think he does quite well with it. But it just, I don't know. It's just, we ain't getting the best out of him. That's for sure. I didn't think that he was going to be like elite level in terms of getting 30, 40 goals. But I thought in this system he would score 15 to 20 this year.
And I also think as well is that you haven't got, thinking back on when Harry Kane used to get the ball and drop deep, you had players like Dele Alli who would run past him to get forward, so that there was always that body in the box. And I think we don't have that, whether it's the tactic that we play or the instructions, or whether it's just the players themselves. If Solanke is dropping in, Maddison, presumably being that sort of more attacking player, should be thinking, if he's here, I'm going to step up and get in. And then that, I'm not saying it's going to work every time, but at least then you've got the body up there. But yeah, as you say, Solanke shouldn't be doing that, because I always thought the Ange's tactics he didn't want that. He wanted someone who was going to just stay up and be your sort of target man to hit.
Yeah, but I think one thing with Kane is that Kane used to drop back a lot of the time when he weren't getting any service. And it is the same thing happening to Solanke, where there was a graph that come up during the game. The first, I think it was about 25, 30 minutes in, where he'd had the least touches out of everyone. So is it a case of, I need to just keep dropping deeper to get the ball because I'm getting nothing at the moment? Do you know what I mean? It's almost like Is it a tactical player for Ange to bring him in? I don't see why he would want to drop him back, because you're right. If you look at when Kane was at his best, he had either Ali running behind him, and then when Ali dropped off, Son, that season where he basically just dropped in, Son ran around the edge and he just swung.
Well, that's the thing. Like, our wingers were inside forwards, isn't it? Now they're touchline wingers. So yeah, like even Kane, like I'd be saying the same thing about Kane. Like, yo, stop dropping deep, bro. Like you shouldn't be having to. As much as Kane is one of the best playmakers I've ever seen in my life, it's one of those things of like, if our wingers aren't our touchline wingers now, that means they're supposed to be our creative hubs on the wing. Yeah. They're not supposed to be like, they're basically, the wingers have just transitioned from inside forwards to wingers now. So at that point, if our creative outlets are going to be on the wing, then we have to have a striker in the box all the time. Otherwise, they're basically useless on the wing. They're just holding the ball for no reason. So I think it's just a tactical issue, because Solanke can't drop deep and be the main guy in the box. It's not going to work.
Yeah, you've got no third man running at all. As I say, the whole idea is supposed to be that you get to the touchline, you get to the byline and you cut it back. That's why Johnson's got so many goals this year, and that's why when you actually think about it, you kind of look at that team and go, how do we score so many goals? Because we don't seem to create chance after chance, and that's how we do it. We've just got Brennan Johnson's movement in the box to get to where he's supposed to be is very, very good. That's all he can do, but that's how he scores so many goals, because that is the tactic, is to do that. But I don't know what it is, but we just don't seem to be. I feel like Solanke's dropped deeper and deeper as the season's gone on. I don't feel like he was dropping as deep when he first came in. I feel like it was higher up. So is it a tactics thing? Is it just, I haven't got the ball, I need to be involved? And I think the
midfield is just. The midfielders, it feels like they don't have a specific role in this team. So I feel like they're just kind of lost on the pitch. Because a lot of Ange's tactic is just like up to the players to figure it out, in a sense, which I understand, like in theory, like they should be able to figure out what they need to do on the pitch. But in practice, when the game's going on, like it doesn't really work like that. And a lot of the times we see like midfielders, they don't know when to come down to pick the ball up from the defenders. So we'll see them launch the ball. The defenders end up launching the ball, we lose it. And then the attackers, a lot of the time, they know their roles. So in sense, if Solanke's dropping down to collect the ball, then the midfielders are like, okay, where do we go now? Because Solanke's come down to get the ball. So I think there's a lot of confusion with the midfielders in terms of what actually has to happen, because there's no specific role anymore. So we're basically seeing, okay, the midfielders are probably looking at each other like, okay, are you going here? Are you going here? Okay, yeah. I'll go here. And it's just whoever takes the initiative first. So I feel like there's no structure in the midfield no more. Like it's just a defense and an attack, and that's really it.
Got a message here from Razzle Dazzle. Did Mainu have a leader on the pitch? No, but I don't think Mainu has played consistent.
He's not consistent at all.
Well. And the reason why he isn't consistent at all is because he doesn't have that leader on the pitch with him. And to be fair, you could argue that having someone like Casemiro with you, I'm not saying he's a great level, but you can't be any more experienced than him. So, like, I mean, I always go back to when Archie Gray had a good game at centre back alongside Davies, and they asked him after the game, and he was like, Davies basically coached me through the whole game, and I can't see a Bentancur, I can't see a Basuma being that kind of character. And
even Dragoshin as well. His best games was with Ben Davies too.
Yeah, like it's and that's why the whole Ben Davies, I understand why people don't think he should be starting. I completely get that, but they are the sort of characters that you need in the squad, and he's one of the only ones that is. I can imagine him being quiet, but I can imagine him being someone that actually, if you're a defender and he's talking to you, I can imagine you actually listening to him and being like, yeah, I kind of get where you're coming from. He's played nonsense, but that, do you know what I mean? So we need to get them sort of players. We need to get them sort of players in. Did Xavi and Iniesta have physical bodies? No, Xavi and Iniesta didn't have the physicality, but you're talking about elite level people there. You're talking about, like, we're not going to have any players of that sort of ilk. Like, you're talking about two of the best midfielders that, especially in this generation. So, but there isn't many players that can be that size that at 17. Also, you're not just talking about that size as well. When you're talking about boy strength and men's strength, they're different things. Yeah. Like if you look at Salah, for instance, Salah's only small, but he's physically, not many people shrug him off the ball. Do you know what I mean? So there is a bit there is a bit of difference. But no, I completely agree with you either good enough or not. And I think that you've got some youth players that are coming through that will be good enough, definitely. But the youth, I think people get confused about the whole youth and why it's there in football clubs. Youth players are not brought in to, and they're not, especially not at the top level in the Premier League. Your youth players, they don't expect youth players to be coming through and starting for your first team all the time. That's not an expectancy on clubs, because to have that's unbelievable. Like to be able to produce players to come through all the time is such a difficult skill. The whole idea is that they either come through at your club or you sell them for a profit. That's that's the other part of it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like the Marcus Edwards is that sort of stuff. Like I know Madueke went for free, but if we kept him and loaned him out a few times and do what Chelsea done, Chelsea have been bankrolled by some of their young prospects by going out on loans and then picking up a 10 million here, 15 million here, and then you reinvest that. So they don't even need to necessarily come through your whole club. They need to be able to just be sold to bring in money that can then improve your 11. But we've done it wrong from our youth perspective for so long. And this year seems to be getting it slightly better in terms of getting the loans out. Donnelly's played loads, Keely's played loads, Vuskovic has played loads, even Devine. Troy Parrott played loads last year. So hopefully now we're starting to get to a situation where we're actually getting that right. And then if you get that right, you stand yourself in good stead to get other decisions right. Do you know what I mean?
I think sending players on loan, like you said, Luke, you can send them out to a championship team and they won't play. But sometimes it is better to send them out to a division lower, like League One. So they're not playing 100%. They're not playing sort of below their level. They're not playing above the level, but they're constantly playing, and it's all the different experiences. Like you're going to be the treatment that you get at the League One is not going to be the same as a Premier League level club. So having that sort of years experience in a lower league team where it's not all Premier League elite status, it is like you are going into dressing rooms that are small and cramped. You're going into old stadiums that are not that big, and it's having that experience as well. It does help bring you on, and then you do come back to Tottenham and think, "Cool, that was a massive shock to the system." But it was a good experience. Not just, I mean, Donnelly's doing really well at Leyton Orient, and he could go and score 40 goals a season there. It doesn't mean that he's going to be an amazing player because he's playing League One football, but it's him coming back with that confidence, that experience, and hopefully going, do you know what? And then the championship teams go, he's done well down there, let's give him a go here. And then he steps up to the championship or even a lower league, Premier League team, and they want to give him a chance because you've overachieved at a lower level.
Well, that's what happened with Devine last year. Devine was playing at Port Vale, he's playing every game, he was like one of their best players. And then all of a sudden in January, cut short his loan, sent him off to Plymouth, and he barely played. Like, again, it's just this is what we need to do. You can't guarantee a club's definitely going to play all the young players or anything like that. Of course you can't, but we should be able to pick them clubs up, and like players like teams like Leyton Orient, for instance, you can build like affiliate with them, like and become affiliation where they play your players. Do you know what I mean? You consistently send them there. That's always really been a club for us, to be fair. We've sent loads of players. So like Kane played there and all this, that, and the other. So that we just need to manage that youth side so much better. But you need to get in a manager that wants that. You need to get in a director of football that's looking at that sort of stuff. I feel like we need just changes across the whole thing.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know who Brazy Bores is. Do you, Chris? Would you take Harry Maguire for a year or two to glide grey? In this high line, I would take Harry Maguire. I would think it would be absolutely hilarious to watch him run back every 10 seconds.
By the time he turns around, the goal would have happened already.
I think if Spurs
like 250 grand a week, so
if Spurs change that shirt to an England shirt, he might actually be all right because he seems to play better in an England shirt.
Put him in a defensive structure, I have no doubt he'd be a decent player. But in our high line, it would, from a comedic point of view, it would be quite funny to watch. To be honest with you, we thought Dyer was bad. It would be quite cool to watch old Harry Maguire. That's for sure. It's actually cheered me up, to be honest, guys. Like talking about how bad we are, I actually feel a little bit better. So that's a positive. I don't know about you guys. I'm just having a little look at. Obviously, we've got Southampton coming up this weekend. They are obviously not in great form. Where are they now? I think have they just got to 10 points. I think. Let me have a little look at the league table.
Yeah, they drew to Crystal Palace.
Even that. How is all of these managers linked to the job at Spurs, and then within a week they're losing, drawing? It's just that's the curse of Spurs.
They're trying to defer us. That's what it is. They're trying to defer the Spurs away from them.
So they've got 10. They've got 10 points. And when I looked through like the relegation candidates' records, all of them have beaten some decent teams, like in terms of Wolves, Ipswich, Leicester. But from what I see with Southampton, I don't think they've really done anything this year. So their last few games, so they obviously drew 1-1 with Palace. They got beat by Wolves. They got beat by Liverpool. They got beat by Chelsea, and they got beat by Brighton. So even after watching that game today, are you of the assumption that we're going to go and beat them on Sunday?
We will beat them, but it's going to be very difficult because we've started to look very shaky in the air again, just in general, like set piece wise, and just like we've started again looking very shaky. And if one thing Southampton do have is a 6'7" striker called Ono, and if they are shameless, Southampton will just keep crossing the ball because they are shameless and they have a 6'7" striker. He's probably the only striker I have to look eye to eye to. So it's gonna be.
I mean, we had crap, and we used to do it.
So they're gonna do it. That's how they scored against Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
They just kept whipping the ball in until my man scored. And if there's one place we do struggle, it's in the air. So I'm not saying we're gonna lose to Southampton, but they have a strength where we have a weakness. So it is something to watch out for. To be fair,
and I didn't think Van der Ven would play regardless. I thought Van der Ven would play today, and I didn't think he'd play on Saturday.
If we start Archie Gray, we're cooked. That's one thing I will say.
If he doesn't, if Van der Ven, we're talking about potentially having an injury, because I agree. I see him limping. So if he doesn't play, then say Romero does play. Who's the other centre back? I think Davies is back in training, but he's small. He's not someone that you want working. You wouldn't want him marking someone who's 6'7". So
Archie Gray is just like he's taller, but he's still very weak.
It's
gonna be. That's what I'm saying. Like they have something that they can exploit. Whether they're clearly not good enough at it because they have 10 points after 30 games, but it doesn't mean that the weapon still isn't there. It's whether they can exploit it or not. And
I definitely feel like a lot of fans had higher expectations against Southampton in terms of it being like a 3 or 4-0 easy win. I'm not sure whether that's the case anymore after today.
I think defensively they'll stay quite solid, and it'll be hard for us to break down and get anything. And then if they just counter attack and putting crosses in, we're not very good at defending that. There could potentially be a lot of problems that get overseen, and the way that we're playing at the minute, I mean, even if they had an open back four, I still can't see us being clinical to get 3 or 4 in a game. I hope we do, because I think with Frankfurt coming up, I think they need that confidence boost. And unfortunately, I can't see us going and giving someone a pasting 4 or 5-0. I just don't think we've got it in our locker. So if we don't get a result against Southampton, even the players themselves will be looking at the Frankfurt game going, "Oh, what do we do? What are we going to do now?"
El Tel's gone 4-0.
No,
4-0. Do you think that we're going to go with a strong team?
No.
Because it is obviously it's 4 days before what we've just said is potentially Ange's biggest game of his career.
Yeah. Nah,
definitely
we're not going with a strong team.
Spurs career.
Yeah, well, it's not going to be. We're not going with a strong team at all. Plus, I don't see Southampton not scoring. So no 4-0, no chance. I don't think Maddison starts. I'd be very surprised if Solanke starts.
Yeah,
Romero probably
they're the ones that
has
I've been saying. Well, I've said that I think we'll make 3 or 4 changes, and
Yeah.
I think Solanke's one of them. I think Maddison's one of them, especially if Kulu's not around.
Yeah, probably like
Van
a
der Ven was the other.
Tell Odebear and Brendan Johnson probably front three. To be fair, that'd probably be what it'd be. Yeah, Romero probably has to start just because of the lack of centre back options. Spence will probably get dropped, so probably Doggy and Porro. Bergvall might even hit the bench as well for a Saar, Bissouma, and Bentancur trio. So 4-0 is just not gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen at all. I don't even think we'll score first.
I did think that it would be a big scoreline, but I thought today that there would be a difference in the performance. I didn't think we'd win, and I think it's crazy to be like, oh, let's have a meltdown because we lost to Chelsea. That's not.
Yeah.
But I just feel like the performance again is where we're lacking, and that's what I keep saying. I'll keep going back to it, that for him to have any decent end to the season, I feel like the performance has had to get more to what the style of play he was brought in to play. Because that's the whole point of him being here. He's been brought in to play that sort of football, and we don't look like we're going to score.
You're saying those have hardly played any minutes because of injuries will be arrested. Which players I mentioned were injured?
I think Maddison's not played. Maddison, I think they said on commentary, Maddison's not played 90 minutes. I think he's played 190 minutes all year.
Yeah, but that's because Ange subs him out. That's not because he's been injured, though.
No, but he has picked up injuries, and he does seem. When I was looking through.
He's only missed like 3 or 4 games due to injury, though.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know whether he's got something because he seems to only play 90 minutes a week. So when we have like 2 games in a week, he seems to start one, and he'll play 60 to 70 minutes, and then the other one he'll come off. So he comes off, and then the next game. He normally starts on the bench and comes on for 20 or 30 minutes. Now, a lot of people are saying it's because Maddison's had a falling out with him and this, that, and the other.
I don't even think it's that. I just think in terms of the physicality and keeping up a certain level of play, he just doesn't have that. I just think that's what it's down to. I don't think it's down to...
I think, that's what the commentators were talking about. I was listening to when they said it, and they said about he's had a conversation with Tuchel about his England career, and it seems like it's the fitness side of things. He just doesn't have 90 minutes in his locker.
Yeah.
I think that's more what it is, especially in terms of the way Ange wants to play. Like, remember, like if when we were starting the season, we ran the most out of any team, we pressed the most. Of course, it caused like a high turnover rate, but in terms of like all the pressing, running kind of stats, we were leading it. Literally. I said Odebear would start. Van der Ven was limping off the pitch today, so
yeah, I don't know.
Romero, I said would start, and Solanke, he just came back, but he's our only actual striker, so he would get arrested. So out of the players you mentioned, it's literally just Romero that would start, in my opinion. But I said Van der Ven was injured, and Odebear would play. So.
Oh no, yeah, he said the Doggy would play as well. Going back to this, I think
I said Doggy would play too.
Yeah, with Solanke. I think the reason why he doesn't play is purely because we have no other option. So if Solanke isn't fully fit, isn't 100%, then I don't feel like we've got anyone. We're either starting Son or we're starting Tel. So I can't see any of them names other than I can see Romero probably playing 90. I can't see any one of them other names playing a full 90 minutes on Sunday and then playing a full 90 minutes again on Thursday. I think VDV, I don't know whether you see it, Tel, but VDV seemed to be limping when he was brought off. So I don't even know whether that
he looks injured.
Yeah, so he looked like he had potentially an injury. I think, to be honest with you, I think we're all like that with Van der Ven now. Literally, whenever the camera pans to him, I'm thinking, oh no. But it did look to me like he had some sort of injury. So I think there will be a few changes. I've always said that there'll be 3 or 4. I think he'll make 3 or 4 changes. I could probably see one of Odebear or Solanke not playing. And I don't think Van der Ven starts, but I think Romero does. I think Doggy does start. I think it'll be Doggy and Porro probably.
Yeah.
And then is Richarlison back? Is he supposed to be back?
I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Not sure.
If he's back, then I think that I think Solanke does start, but I think Richarlison will come on after about 60, 65 minutes. See, and this is the problem. I feel like there's been so many games this year where I can already see the subs that are being made, and it's not because of like form; it's because of managing minutes, fitness, players.
That makes it predictable as well, isn't it?
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like so many times I've been like, well, he's going to be brought off after 60 minutes because he isn't going to last the full game. Do you know what I mean? I think that'll be the same. I think Richarlison will come on. If he got slippers.
That's why they're going to get arrested.
Yeah, I think you look at the bench today as well. Mikey Moore was on the bench, didn't play. Archie Gray on the bench, didn't play. Basuma on the bench, didn't play. I think maybe questionable with Mikey Moore, but I think Archie Gray and Basuma start next game because they never got no minutes today.
I think if we played Southampton,
Basuma's going to start.
Moore would have come on.
Yeah, Archie will start instead of Van der Ven. It'll be Romero and Archie. Basuma, Sarr, and Bentancur will probably be in the midfield. Tell, Odebear, and Brandon Johnson will be the front three, and then you doggy and Porro as fullbacks.
Can he start that midfield again?
Yeah, that's what he's going to do.
Won't that be the third time? And I don't think we've scored that midfield on the pitch. Is it not the third time? I think he done it against Fulham. Did he not do it another game as well?
Bournemouth.
And what was actually ironic about the Bournemouth thing is that our fans were in absolute uproar that he started that midfield. And they were moaning that we didn't score. And then as soon as we subbed on Maddison and Son, that's when we conceded. So,
well, not a lot of what Ange does at this point. I'm surprised about, man. So, I wouldn't be surprised, man.
I think similar with Solanke. If we've got Richarlison back, then that changes my outlook on Solanke. But I feel like if Maddison don't play and Kulu don't play, we don't create. So the fact Kulu's out, I feel like Maddison will probably be rested and come on for probably the last like half an hour or something just to keep him ticking over. But the problem is we've got so many players that are not even in form. Do you play them all to keep them in form? Do you play them and get them tired? Like it's just like Maddison today for me just didn't really cut the mustard. I feel like he needs to just start taking. I think we had this discussion before about taking the games by the scruff of the neck. And it's hard when there's players around you that are not performing as well. But there were so many different situations where even taking corners. Did we even beat a first man today?
I don't even. Nah,
Son and Maddison.
For the last few years, we ain't really been good at corners, to be honest. We're just not a good set piece team, attacking or defending.
And I thought to be fair, I thought Maddison would bring that. I thought he'd be the first free kick taker we've had since Ericsson. I'm watching Porro and Son literally take free kicks in training, and Son takes them for South Korea, and he bangs them in. North Korea. He bangs them in every single time he plays.
South Korea.
Is it South Korea? Oh, yeah, of course it is. Sorry.
You sure? What?
He literally he scored 4 or 5 on the trot, didn't he? And he never takes a free kick for us. Porro there's a recent clip of him in training this week. I think it was scoring free kicks, and Maddison seems to take all of them, and we don't seem to score. And I know Porro was arguing with Maddison the other day about taking a free kick. I just don't understand how we can have this many when you say technical players. I think Maddison and Porro fall into that, and yet we don't take a corner or a free kick.
It'd probably be two of the most technical players at the club at this point. Right?
It got to be a name. It's got to be. Yeah. So yeah, in terms of Southampton, then I mean we done our predictions, didn't we, before the game? So what did you come back with, E?
For Southampton.
No. We done it for this game.
For Chelsea, I predicted 4-2. It was a 1-0. It's crazy. Well, I
think I had 3-1.
So
there was a lot of faith in the room. There was a lot of faith in the room that we.
I was faith that there would be goals, not necessarily not that we win. I mean, what was the last ones? Didn't it? Last ones was what 4-1 and then 4-3 and all these. I thought there'd be goals, but
I was expecting a battle of the bridge, to be honest with you. And I think there was a load of yellow cards, but it didn't feel like there was much of a battle out there at all. It was almost limp again, wasn't it?
And I feel like there's
Pretty
not much to
much.
battle for either. Like if it was a third versus fourth or fourth versus fifth, and we're both sort of trying to get on top of each other, then there may be a bit more of a battle. But I don't think that's there. I don't think, as I say, the players just don't seem to have that oomph to go and try to win a game. They obviously play in football, but there's just not that sort of creative mentality, the drive, that sort of thing to actually go and even convince themselves they're going to win a game.
But see, this is what I find mad, because I still feel like a lot of these players need to be playing well to prove to either the next manager, which obviously looks like it is, because they've had so many chances with different managers as well. And this is one of the things that I kept going back to with Postecoglou. It seems that within the fan base, it's all on him, and I don't think that's fair. I think the players need to take some responsibility. I think the medical team, I think the recruitment's not been good enough. And yeah, Postecoglou's made mistakes, of course he has. But there's so many players in this team where I just look at them and think, what has happened? Like, where you were this level and now you're so far off it. And as I say, like with Basuma, for instance, that's not just under Ange, that was under Conte as well. Bentancur, there was an ACL, there was 2 consecutive concussions within a few weeks. Maybe he still just ain't got back to the level. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he's been unlucky.
Like it's just too many of them. Like it seems to be happening to virtually all of them. No one's really like stood up other than Bergvall to some extent. I think he's looked like he's been pretty decent. And
I think it goes back to our transfer window, as you said. I don't think our transfer window was a great summer transfer window. Ange sort of come out and said he was happy with the players that he got and the players that he wanted. But when you're looking at it, I mean, Archie Gray, Bergvall, yeah, they're good players. But again, they're not players that are going to come into this team now and make us better. They're players that in potentially 2 or 3 years' time with good coaching and having that behind them, they're going to burst into the Tottenham team and become really good players and really solid players in that team. And I think not signing 2 or 3 sort of solid, established Premier League players to help that base have the first leg of the Liverpool game, I think it was, when we was in the semi-finals. You looked at the benches. Obviously, we had our injuries, but you looked at the benches, and our bench, I think we had maybe 2 senior, like 2 regular first-team players, and the rest of them were all kids. You looked at Liverpool's bench, and they had Trent Alexander-Arnold on the bench, Chiesa on the bench, and it was just a list of superstars. And you're like, this is the difference. This is what we haven't got. So him coming out at the end of the transfer window in August and saying, I'm happy with the transfer window, that for me was like, we've not had a good transfer window. Yeah, we've spent money, but we've not bought in the quality. And then, I mean, the first 10 games, we looked pretty good. I think we were sitting in second and we looked all right. Injuries start creeping in, and that's where your squad depth has really let him down. Whether that's, you can blame the ownership for not bringing it in, you can blame the scouting, you can blame Ange, but I think it is a mixture of everyone. We've not done enough at that level to set us up for the season ahead, because you're going to get injured. I mean, to the extent that we've had them, you question why we've had them, but I just don't think the squad was set up ready for the season. And I think it's obviously coming to show now that we're 16th in the league, we're not playing well. It's all just going to snowball up, and it's just going to get worse. And as I say, we've burgled our way in the Europa League. I mean, it wasn't going to be a very hard cup to qualify in. It was obviously a different format as well, so it was a lot more games. It was hard, but you look at the games we played, and we burgled against AZ Alkmaar. I think the first game we won 1-0. We burgled that. We just about made it through, and then the second game, again, I just think it was always set up to foul at the start of the season. And we're going to end up going into the next season potentially with a new manager and starting a new rebuild again, and we're going to have to go through it all again.
I think that's my point, is the fact that anything that we need to do now under Ange, I think we still need to do under the new manager. Like, I think we need to get a better recruitment team. I think we need to be better in that aspect. We've been terrible for it for years. I think the medical team have been pretty poor, regardless of whether Ange is the manager or not. So all of this needs to kind of happen. Whether Ange is the man, whether Ange ain't the man, doesn't make any difference. All of this still needs to happen. And I just can't. I don't have the faith in the ownership that they're going to get it done. I don't see how they're going to. I don't, because they've proved that they're not. That statement they brought out was effectively like, be happy. That's effectively what Levy basically said. He was like, just be happy with what you've got, because this is the way we are. This is what we're going to do. Deal with it. That was all it was. So it don't strike me as the kind of statement where you're saying, right, in the summer we've messed up this season. We've been poor this season. Things are not good enough. So we've got a plan in place. It just seemed to be like, it is what it is. Unlucky. Sorry about that. We weren't even sorry, to be fair. It was just more like, it is what it is. I'm just
mad.
I've just had a little look at some of the stuff that's been going on Twitter just quickly to see if there was any statements that he's come out with. And it don't look. He looks like he's just absolutely fuming.
I think VAR got a bit of stick as well. In his interview, he seems to have mentioned that the VAR took too long, or about the decision that was made. And I think I agree with some of the VAR stuff, because it is ridiculous how long it takes. If you can clearly see someone's offside, draw the line, to get it done, and let's move on. Or if it is a foul, as you said, it shouldn't take 6 minutes to look at a foul to then book him. If it's a clear foul, it's a clear foul, and then you book him. If it's obviously dangerous play, you could potentially send him off. But if it's a foul, it's a foul. You get on with it and move on. Why is it taking 6 minutes to review it?
So apparently it was asked if he's risking he's ruining his relationship with the fans. He said, you know what, I'm at such a disconnect with the world these days that who knows, maybe you're right, I don't know, but that's not what my intention was. He looks to me like, as I say, forget about the performance. I didn't expect us to win today. I did expect a better performance, but if you're going through stuff like this and you're putting your hands over your ears, cupping them when we score, and then I just think that.
I think he said that he wanted to, from what I quickly had a look, he's basically said that he wanted to get a reaction at the fans to get them all to cheer louder. I've never seen a manager stand there doing that, and you'd see the arm movement. You'd want to get them jeered up. You'd be like encouraging them, not just that. He's literally turned to the side, turned to the away fans, cupped his ears to him, and just stood there doing that. And it's a bit of arrogance. Like, I told you, I've done it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
100%. It's like, you booed me because I brought him on and now he scored. Shut up. That's exactly what he's saying. Like,
just for it to get taken
no
off.
two ways about it.
On the hypocrisy at the end of the day, man.
And James Maddison's basically coming out and saying that Spurs fans have every right to be fuming. Feel like it's rinse and repeat. Just have the same interview next week. Then we'll have the same interview again next week.
That's why I don't really put too much emphasis on these interviews, because it's just media trained like stuff, in it. Like, they're all just waffling, really.
And it's just saying the same thing. Literally, it's just saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I'm not gonna say too much more. I don't think. I think we've kind of said all we needed to really say. I think do we still all think that we're gonna get the win at Southampton?
Yeah, but just maybe, about.
Yeah, scrape it. Maybe a 1-0 or a 2-1, but I can't see much more than that.
I'm just getting the table up. So we're currently 14th in the table, joint with Everton and West Ham. Obviously, if we win that, we go level on points with United. I'm not sure who they're playing. Have they not got a tough game? I think they've got City this week.
Couldn't tell you, to be honest. I actually have no idea.
Yeah, I'm sure they've got. I'm sure. Yeah, they play City just after us, so we play at 2:00 on Sunday, and then they play it. So we could, in theory, finish the weekend in 13th, which is huge for us.
Yes, sir.
But it would give us some much needed momentum for Frankfurt. That would be the only shining light, I think. But yeah, I think that's it. There's not really much more to go into. I think I think all three of us are just kind of meh. What?
Yeah, pretty much.
I was definitely hoping for a better performance. I was clinging on to the possibility of potentially getting something out of the game, but I think the cupping of the year, that just sums up how we are right now. I think that's kind of
For the most part, yeah. We're just dead.
So, E, thank you very much for coming on, making
Thanks for having me.
your debut. Do you want to tell all of the chat, the amount of people that are in here, where to catch you?
I mean, you'll see it too much of E. It's there.
I'll put your link in the description.
Yeah, man. Yeah, the most unserious Tottenham channel in this YouTube community. Luke knows very well that I'm here for the trolling. I'm here just to have fun, which is pretty ironic considering the mood of this stream. But I promise you guys, I actually have fun. I actually enjoy my time on YouTube, man. So
you're taking a gamble by streaming 5 minutes after we've just been beat by the London rivals, but Thursdays are the days that I'm going to be streaming. I'm going to be doing it 9:30, but obviously with the games being played on Thursdays, then they'll be pushed back slightly. So I wanted to just be consistent, make sure we're getting videos out. So I'll be back again next week as well.
Nice.
Hopefully we'll be talking about a victory. So Chris, thank you for coming on again, mate. You've now started up your own little Twitter account, haven't you?
Yep. So Hubble Scope on Spurs is now live on Twitter. There was much after much popular demand. I've set one up. So
have you actually made a tweet yet? Have you actually tweeted yet?
Nah, I've retweeted a few things, but
right, okay.
I just sort of scroll through and just retweet and then comment on a few things and just dabble a bit.
Well,
it's not got serious yet.
It seems like you're going to be a regular on the channel, mate. So people will be seeing your face. But as I said, appreciate you both for coming on.
No problem.
And other than I hope we improve, what else is there to really, really say? All right. So cheers, everyone. Come on, you Spurs. Peace.